It's important in witchcraft to remember that while you are trying to practice maybe older ways or ways of your ancestors or ways of the past, that is impossible because the consciousness is always shifting, it is always changing. Ever wondered why sometimes we have the same ideas? Two people on opposite sides of the world might have the same idea. Or why, if you're dealing with entities or gods and goddesses, why two people, again, who have nothing to do with each other have the same kind of experiences. There was a 19th century German philosopher whose name was George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel. And he had this concept and this idea of human consciousness, and he called it the Geist. That word in English doesn't translate very well. It translates basically to spirit or ghost or mind, so the consciousness. But unfortunately in our language it doesn't exactly define it. It's bigger. Hegel believed is that we have the natural biological world, the things that we see and touch and are, but there is more to it than that. There is the consciousness where ideas just seem to show up. Science has never been able to explain consciousness. They cannot, you know what? Consciousness is a really good example of a word like Geist that is too broad to really translate into words. Anyways, so science can't define consciousness exactly. They don't know where ideas come from, where thoughts come from, and it's the unknowable. As far as the word Geist goes, you may have heard of like the word zeitgeist when after 9/11 there was that documentary. What zeitgeist is, it's like the spirit or the consciousness of the era. So, for example, like the Renaissance or the digital age, it's the expansion and change in formation of the knowledge. Now, the sphere of consciousness that we all draw from is called the Weltgeist. It is the world spirit. You've got the subjective or Subjektergeist, which is the individual mind. And then you've got the Absolutergeist, which is the kind of expression of the mind. So like art and philosophy, it's the expression of the consciousness. What Hegel believed or proposed is that the Geist is the current where the information flows, and we as humans are the tools that draw on that consciousness. So think of the Geist like the radio waves and the humans as like the radio that we tune into, which explains why some people have more ideas or different ideas than others, and that explains also the evolution of humanity and the expansion of the Geist. In early human history, when cultures were very insular and kept from other parts of the world, their experiences with gods and goddesses and spirituality was very localized, so they could only tune into their local stations. But now, as the world is opening up and we are all connected with one another, then our consciousness reshapes and expands, and we're able to draw on a larger well of this consciousness. This explains why somebody in Tennessee could connect with the Morgan, where somebody in Ireland can also connect with the Morgan, and where maybe she used to be just there, right? But now the world has opened up, the Geist has opened up and expanded, so now we can access that information. And what this all kind of boils down to is this is humanity, humans and consciousness remembering itself. So we start out very primitive, and we grow and we grow, and we gain more knowledge and we expand. If you look at the evolution of world spirituality, we are many thousands of years evolved into this process of remembering, and we are every day, every year, every era, we are remembering more and more of ourselves, and we are able to access more and more of this flow of information that moves through the Geist. Carl Jung also kind of took this concept, and that's when he formed it into this like collective unconsciousness, like this bucket or bowl of information that we can all draw from. That is essentially the Geist. And what Carl Jung did is he kind of took it and put it into archetypes and forms that we can understand in a more tangible way. This is why I think it's incredibly important to remember that spirituality and witchcraft is fluid. So when you're trying to practice something that your ancestors practiced, you have to acknowledge the fact that it is different, because we are in a different era of the Geist. We are in a different zeitgeist. There's a saying that a man cannot step in a river twice. So you step in the river, but the water is always flowing. And every time you step in that river again, it is a different river. And we are stepping in a river that is the same name, but it's a different river. It's a different time. It's a different thing. When I think about the Geist, and when I think about the concept of us remembering ourselves and the universe remembering itself, I wonder where the end is. Where is the end when we come home and when we truly know and remember ourselves? I don't know, what do you think?